I guess this is the day that parents have waited for. Oh, lo, these, 10 weeks, 70-something days or so. It is back to school Monday around Tampa Bay. And I got to tell you, man, I have mixed feelings about it. I mean, first of all, we do these little sign pictures every year, first day of school, fourth grade, first day of school. I got one that's a junior in high school now, man. And these are my girls I'm talking about. And then, of course,
Yep.
Alexander's in the final year of middle school. So I got 11th and 8th grade. And it's like I'm getting these memories from, Facebook, like 8 years ago, here they are, and they're little minions. I mean, they're these little tiny things. And now I got not that many years left with them. So I'm kind of melancholy. And I swear to you that this summer went faster than any summer I've ever been a part of. I swear
Well, it's
to
been
you.
10 weeks of summer, so.
Unreal.
I mean, it's about as much comp time as you get in your job, right?
Well, some do. Not quite me. I do know some that are still on comp time. But yeah, no, it's and the other thing that is a phenomenon, and maybe it's just me up here in Hillsborough County, I don't know, you tell me. For the first 2 weeks of school, you will see more traffic than you will ever see in your lifetime.
Oh, yeah.
Because no one wants to take the bus the first 2 weeks of school, right? Or no one wants the car, but they haven't quite figured out who's riding with who. It seems like everybody is driving their kid to school or driving themselves to school. You know what I mean? And
well, that and then the traffic patterns from the last 10 weeks no longer apply. So
they don't exist.
If I leave at this time, I get to work. Oh, no,
forget
now
about
it's
it.
all screwed up.
Oh, yeah. And because there's so many cars, there's going to be an accident, right? There's going to be a fender bender. There's going to be something going on. And that's it. That's it. You're done. Your half-hour drive that you've been used to these last 10 weeks, it's going to take about an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, man. So I'm trying to think what time I have to get up to go to practice tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning.
Well, that's the other thing is now you have to get up earlier, too, because the kids have to be out the door early.
There you go.
I mean, I still have an elementary kid, so he's out the door at 7.
Man, it's incredible how early they go to school. You know, I remember those 6 a.m. wake-up calls. That was rough. Of course, I'm doing it now because it's training camp. In the regular season, we don't, the Bucs don't practice till like 11 a.m., but the kids were always up at 6, and I was the driver, to both schools. Now with my radio show, that's not the case, so young Alexander is a little hacked off about that, but what can I do? Buy her a car with all the money I'm making, I guess, one day. So it's, it's a rite of passage. It's, there was a time when I was kind of like, oh, good, we'll have normalcy, we'll have a pattern, we'll have, sort of structure, which I think families and children thrive on, but not really. I like having them home, like being around them. They're kind of my favorite people, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's sad. Like they're going to be all stressed because you got homework, right, or you got extracurricular stuff, dance and sports or whatever you guys are involved in. And it's a lot, right? They're long days. The days are long, the years are short. That's exactly the way life is.
Well, and then another week or so, and you're going to have our first hurricane.
Yeah, is that looks like we got some development out there?
So the tide's coming off Africa as usual. It's going to develop into a hurricane. It's way too early to know if it's going to even affect the U.S., let alone Florida.
Right.
But it's going to develop into a hurricane.
Yeah.
Just a matter of where it goes. Like I said, we're still over a week out.
Yeah.
From anything affecting anywhere near us, but it's that time of year now.
I can't judge. I lived here my whole life, and of course we hit 100 degrees a couple weeks ago or last week sometime. It feels like 2 weeks now. That first time in the history of recorded temperatures in Tampa Bay, like literally was 100 degrees, which should never happen because you have a body of water out there that kind of works as an air conditioning unit, if you will. We should never get that hot. But I know this because it's a fact that this is the hottest summer, I think, on the planet, or at least in Florida or Tampa Bay. And I don't know, what have the storms been like at your house, right? Like there's a particular amount of violence that I'm seeing, man, that lightning and some of these big thunderstorms and they blow through here. Woof. Like I hope to God that, they don't churn one of those hurricanes again or more than
what I've noticed is the storms seem to just sit on top of you.
Yeah, they don't move.
Like they're small. Like your area's affected, and not a few miles away from you isn't, but it just sits on you. Like I know Thursday and Friday night, I think it was, we got 2.7 inches and 2.8 inches.
Goodness, yeah, that's
back-to-back
a
nights.
lot. Yeah, in a hurry, right? Like probably an hour.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it's they're intense rains. They're violent lightning and thunder. And my wife and my kid sat in the car the other day. They'd come home from picking up dinner or something like that. I wouldn't let them get out of the car. I mean, the lightning was so close to us; it was striking behind houses and everything else. And so I was like, just stay there. Just wait until this thing tries to pass. But hey, we got back to school. We got inclement weather, but no, we got Buccaneer football on Saturday night at Raymond James Stadium. It was the Tennessee Titans and the Bucs in preseason. Now, these were sort of the counterfeit Bucs, if you will. They did not play many starters, although you could argue that.
But they were using a different helmet, and that was upsetting everybody.
Yeah, first of all, good on people to notice that the logo was back to the small version and not the big one. But secondly, what the hell? You guys really picked that out. Like that was the thing that you observed, and it kind of bothered some people, I suppose. And I don't
bothered a lot of people.
Haven't got an explanation for it, by the way. I don't know.
I think I saw Amon said he asked, and it was just a temporary 1 week. They'll be back to the regular ones next week.
Did they run out of big logos?
I think they were testing or trying something, or
yeah, I don't know. I think maybe they're just saving the old ones. I think it's one of those deals where it's got, hey, we got 90 players. We don't need to use the good logos now, do we?
It could be.
We got some of those leftover small ones, right?
It also could be is a test for the future, how the size looks on television. They can test those kind of things.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
Don't know, but yeah, a lot of people were bothered by that.
I love it, man. Oh, the things people notice. They did wear my favorite uniform, though. Not that I'm a fanboy, but if you're just talking fashion, I think the red tops and the white bottoms are the cleanest uniform they have. But it was clean enough for Kyle Trask, baby. Boy, got to hand it to this guy. MVP. You got to hand it to this
Sanders
guy.
Are going to battle it out.
Yeah, they will. That could be your Super Bowl or your NFC Championship game right there.
No, that would be the Super Bowl. It's Browns are in the AFC.
Oh, it's Browns. That's right. What was I thinking? Yeah, it would be Super Bowl. There you go. Or Super Bowl quarterbacks. So, preseason football is not a total waste of time from giving guys experience, and you do have to turn on the lights sometimes to see what these guys can do, right? But Kyle Trask is the Tom Brady of preseason football, right? Like he's probably played more preseason football. In fact, he's played only preseason football, really, in 5 years, right? 11 passes thrown in the regular season. Every other experience has been in the preseason. So if there's anybody that knows how to navigate, the winds of August, it's Kyle Trask. Now, what's interesting is that it looks for all the world that the Bucs brought in Teddy Bridgewater because not exactly impressed by Kyle Trask in this camp, and there was the 2 days that Baker Mayfield couldn't practice. Trask had the keys to the car, hit a few mailboxes, backed into the fence, weren't real happy necessarily. And then all of a sudden, Teddy Bridgewater shows up. Okay, now Teddy couldn't play because he's been here 15 minutes. And even though he was dressed, he was only there in case he had to just finish the game, in case they got an injury or something like that. But you know what? Give the guy his due, man. Give him his due. And we didn't talk to him about Teddy until after the game, because we didn't get him during the week. But you know what? Playing with mostly guys that are trying to make the team. Yes, Emeka was out there and he was phenomenal, and there were some other guys that have played before that were around him, and they started Charlie Heck, and there were certain things that were, Rachaad White, who we'll talk about, that got injured. He started the game for whatever reason. But you know what? He did what you're supposed to do if you're a fifth-year veteran, right? Playing in the preseason. And that is he was efficient. He hit some passes down the field, 25 yards to Jalen McMillan, 21 yards to Emeka Egbuka. And overall, he made a good accounting of himself and led his team, got him, touchdown, couple field goals. Bucs won 29-7, which I think was more about the Titans than anything else. But 12 of 16, okay, decent percentage, 129 yards. And like I said, touchdown and 2 field goals in one half. I thought it was a statement for him. Now, I don't know what that statement was. Maybe, hey, I'm still Kyle Trask. But he said some things that got my attention after the game. And I asked him specifically, what the Bucs had told him when they brought in Teddy Bridgewater. Bridge over troubled water. When they brought in Teddy Bridgewater, what did they tell Kyle? How'd they portray that? Like, what did they come to you and say? He goes, I never got a direct answer. Wow. Really? Okay. All right, man. Never got a direct answer. But they told me, or I've heard through the grapevine, he brings a lot of experience. I've met him and I've been around him for about a week now. He's great. He's a great person to have in the room. He's great ideas. He's always, it's a good thing we can bring in experience in your quarterback room and bring in some extra knowledge. It's never a bad thing. But he had me at, I never got a direct answer. I guess you don't owe him that. I don't know.
Well,
if that's true.
I mean,
I guess you can assume why he's here. He's here because you're not playing well.
Or they're always looking. I mean, every team is always looking to improve their roster.
Right.
They had a chance to bring in someone with a lot of experience that may improve their roster. Just like they bring in running backs or wide receivers or cornerbacks or.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, I think the perception is that, real or not, and we've talked about it, like they think this is a Super Bowl team and they're not willing to bank however many games that Mayfield may lose or may be lost to injury on Kyle Trask. If Kyle Trask was playing extremely well in practice and now we have the game to look at, I don't know that Teddy's here. I mean, he's Teddy Bridgewater, right? Like, he's played a lot of football and he played as recently as last year in the playoffs, and hell, he got in a game against with Detroit. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be a reason they signed him.
They weren't happy with what they saw in practice.
That's what I think.
You're going to explore all options.
Yeah.
Within the financial constraints of what your team is going to be.
Yeah.
And Kyle Trask may win the backup job.
I think he's going to.
He accounted for himself very well.
Yeah.
Now, can he do it next week as well?
Right. Right.
And then And
then what is Bridgewater? How does he look when he finally gets in there?
Exactly.
But
sometimes you just need that kick in the butt.
Yeah, I mean, this is what the National Football League is. Look, if it wasn't going to be Teddy, it could be somebody off somebody else's roster before this is over, right? Like, there's a lot of quarterbacks are not going to have jobs soon. There's about 4 in every camp, and most teams don't carry 3.
Yep, and they could bring another one in before this.
They absolutely could. Season. They absolutely could. But it just feels like to me, because I know there's a lot of opinions on this, and they vary, and I'm not sure where I'm trying to figure out for myself where I stand on this. When they signed Teddy, I said, well, then Trask is not the backup. I kind of talked myself into saying it's a little like Mayfield, right? We signed Baker Mayfield. Hey, it's a competition. No, it's not. Like, you can tell Baker that, and Baker was like, okay, sure. And you could have told Trask that, and he bought it. Right. And Dave Canales convinced me it was for a minute, but it really wasn't. It just wasn't, And so, when you bring in Teddy and you say, oh, this is just about having some more experience in the room. It's like, well, yeah, but it's also about, where you think you are as a team. If you think you're a Super Bowl team, and do you trust the other guy? If you trust the other guy, you're not bringing him in here. Now maybe he can change that, but he did on Saturday night what he's supposed to do. Look, he's a 5th-year player going up against guys, many of whom are not going to be in this league, and he had some good players around him. Emeka's good, obviously. Jalen McMillan is good. Rachaad White was a starting running back. I mean, they had some dudes, and it's not like he put up, 28 points. I mean, the guy had 1 touchdown, and a couple of field goals, but He did what he was supposed to do. I think right now, I don't know that there's enough reps left for Teddy Bridgewater to go out there and say, week 1 versus Atlanta, in Atlanta, that my number 2 quarterback is Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think he can do that. I think it's going to be Kyle for now, okay? And then depending on how long, or if Baker gets hurt, I still think the first guy in short term is probably Kyle. If he was going to miss a bunch of games, I think you start Kyle, and if if it's not happening, you get Teddy in there so fast your head will spin, and then it's just Teddy's. You know what I mean? Like if it's multiple games,
Yep.
if it's just get me through a game, right? Who knows the offense better? Trask. Who knows the personnel better? Trask. He's been here 5 years. Yeah, they've had different coordinators and all of that. But like the trust, you got to have at least a little bit of trust. So they said that we might see Bridgewater in Pittsburgh. He will practice against the Steelers, but he has to learn the offense. I mean, there's so much for him to have to do that I don't know that they're going to play him in the game. If they do, it won't be much. They're not going to start him. The most he'll play, I think, will be in the final preseason game here, at home. I think they play at home the next one.
Are we sure of Teddy Bridgewater's intent here? We know last year he was a high school coach. Did very well, won the championship.
Right.
Is this kind of come in here, be a player coach, help that room, help this, get some experience?
No, that's a big part of it. It's a big part of it.
Kind of Richard Sherman kind of took that role. Now, granted, he came into play but got hurt.
Yeah, but we called him Coach Sherm.
Yeah, but then he kind of helped coach and was, are we sure that part of this isn't Teddy, whether he's the backup or the third string, getting some experience? The Bucs are willing to let him do that and help in that room.
I absolutely think that's what this is. I think here's what I think. I think it's much like when they had Brady and they had Trask and they said, we need Blaine Gabbert. Now, Blaine Gabbert at that point in his career, could he go in and win a game if he had to? Maybe, right? But no one was knocking down the door for Blaine Gabbert. What Blaine Gabbert's value was, he had been in that hunt, he had been in that fire, and he could help Brady. Right? He was a veteran that had seen it all. Right?
Yep.
Sees the game the way Tom saw it. Knew what to look for. Knew what to tell him between series. Had a role during the week, whether it was cut ups. Hey, you've got 3rd and 6 or whatever the hell it was. Had a job to help prepare the starter. That's what the backup quarterback's jobs are, right? One guy's going to run the scout squad, and you got to give that defense the best look you can. You have to master the opponent's offense as best you can, so that when you're on the look squad, you go out there and you execute. And 1 week, maybe you're Michael Penix, and next week you're Jalen Hurts. But that you got to give that defense the best possible look you can. Okay, that's your job. You take 0 reps, okay, because you're trying to get the starter prepared. And you have to do the mental stuff. You have to take the walkthroughs and all that and do the mental game planning and things like that. That's the job. But during the week, you're also responsible for, trying to look at the defense and spot things and help the starter get ready. And the starter's got a lot of situations and a lot of personnel groupings he's got to learn. And, you may be the one that's watching a lot of film and helping him with that. Certainly you're his eyes on the sideline. And then you got Grizzard, who's a new offensive coordinator now. The first week he was on the field. This past Saturday he was on the field. Next week in Pittsburgh, he's going to call the game from the press box. So that's how unsure of where he wants to be that he is, right? Never called plays before, inexperienced. He says, hey, I'll do it the first week on the field, the second week in the box, and then I assume the third week will be wherever he felt most comfortable, or where he feels like he's needed. So there's a lot of things going on here, but I think Teddy gives them something that Brady had and Baker doesn't, right? Because if Baker turns to Trask and says, what would you do here? What's Trask going to say? I don't know.
What do you think?
What do you think, Bake? I've never been in that situation. He turns to Teddy and says, what would you do against this coordinator? What do you think about this situation? Teddy can quote games, situations. His experience is what that Baker doesn't have. This is, to me, is as much about helping Baker Mayfield as it is about, needing a guy that's played if Baker gets hurt. Now, if he gets hurt, again, I think it's going to be situational. Are you just trying to get through the game? Is it going to be a number of games? Who's the opponent? Where is the game being played? Can we get by running the ball? And they know Trask very well. They've had him 5 years. They know his limitations, and they know everything else about him. I also think, and Trask kind of agreed with me, I guess. I also think Trask is a gamer. I just think that when he has to play in a game, I just think he plays better. I do. He's not a great practice player. He just isn't. But he'll make enough plays, at least in the preseason. In the preseason, you're not game planning, but neither is the defense. And this is the thing: if people knew Kyle Trask was their starter, then they're going to do everything and take away everything Kyle Trask does well, right? So it's going to be a different picture if he has to play in the regular season. Right now, he's got the advantage because he has experience and he's not going against, number one defenses and things like that. But he's got a little rapport. He's got rapport with Ryan Miller. Man, he makes Ryan Miller look like an all-pro. Those two guys got chemistry. And I think Ryan Miller wind up being the other receiver after you get past the big four, or I would say five with Tez Johnson. So, I was kind of like, I thought that Trask has handled this situation very well.
Mm-hmm.
He's always upbeat. He's always like, hey, I can only control what I can control, and even Bowles said, I thought he played well. He made some timely throws, down the field, one to McMillan and one to Emeka. He said, good job of controlling offense. He was poised. He said, as far as being a gamer, he goes, we just need more evidence. I was like, whoa, okay. All right. So you're not sure still, because he hadn't played, even in preseason, you're not sure like if he's that gamer. But he said, but he's off to a good start this preseason. Practice wasn't as sharp last week, but he came in the game and he played well. So there's a couple acknowledgments there, right? He didn't practice well. Man,
Yep.
this guy did not instill confidence in us in practice. So we had to do something, So a lot of it's on him. A lot of it's on Trask and the fact that, hey, man, 5th year, dude, Okay, so you haven't been in regular season games, but don't you think you ought to be mastering this stuff in the practices? Shouldn't you be carving some people up out here? But he didn't. So we'll talk about the defense and some guys that stepped up, especially some rookie free agents. But first, hey, get on down to Breitling Boutique at International Plaza Mall. What are you waiting for? You know where that is. And if you want to find Breitling Boutique, it's the center of the mall, 2nd floor. You're going to find the best customer service you've ever seen. And also, if you're looking for a great timepiece, well, the Breitling Company has been making the best Swiss watches now for over 140 years. They've been in International Plaza for more than 5 years. Check out the men's watches. We're talking about the Chronomat watches, beautiful Navitimers that they are known for. They also have women's watches for your wife, for your girlfriend. These are sports watches. They are durable. They are beautiful. And she gets to select from an array of beautiful different colored wristbands to boot. And right now, while supplies last, and that's the key, it is football season, they are celebrating the NFL's 104th year anniversary with 32 different team watches. These are Chronomat watches. They have the team colors on the face of the watch, the logo. If you go to tampabay.com, likely to see maybe an ad includes the Buccaneers team watch. And again, those are going fast. So make sure you get down to Breitling Boutique, International Plaza Mall. And when you go, make sure you let them know also that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. They did have what could be a significant injury in the game, Steve, and it happened. What's funny? I watched him do it. Like Rachaad White has a groin injury, and there was 2 runs back to back, 2 carries, and I saw him get hurt, right? And he kind of got off the ground a little funny.
Yep.
But he went back to the huddle, and they gave him the ball the very next play, and then it was Then it was he was grabbing, at his groin and stuff. I could tell you this, as Lovie Smith used to say, Lovey was great with injuries because he told you nothing, but he said a lot. Um, you'd ask him, he'd say, "What's he got?" "Oh, he got a hamstring." A hamstring, I don't know. Hamstring is going to be one of those things. I don't. But then he would say, "A groin." He's a groin. Oh, Rick, you don't know about a groin. A groin it can be a long time. It can be a short. A groin. You don't know about that injury. Like that is one of those injuries that have tons of different types of severity to it, but they're very painful. And if you're a running back or a football player, not a good one to have, right? So he injured his groin, and we got to see a little bit more of some other running backs, which was kind of fun, including Sean Tucker, that I thought did a hell of a job. But Rachaad White, I was a little surprised he started the game, to be quite honest with you. Like, if you're not starting other people, this is not the game you want to play necessarily. If you're playing in this game, it means you're definitely not a starter. And it might also mean that they feel like you need some work and they want to see you in there. Rachaad's played a lot of football for them. I would have thought that they would have gone with Tucker and maybe some of their undrafted guys, but they didn't. And they've got some injuries at running back. So when you're going to sit Bucky, it does become a little tough for you, because you don't have a million players. But Rachaad started. I thought, this is going to be something we're going to have to watch from an injury standpoint. I think Tucker could emerge with a bigger role. And look, he's really, really good. Man, that one run when he got outside and kind of bowled his way to the end zone and stuff, like, he's faster than you think. He does a nice job. I think he's getting better as a blocker. He can catch the ball. And he just is explosive. He had a bunch of carries that went for negative or 0 yards because the line just didn't give him any room. But when he did have a little bit of room, he broke out. And then this Owen Wright kid from Monmouth, by way of William and Mary, he had a couple touchdown runs called back. It took him, the third time was a charm. He finally got in the end zone on a 15-yarder. This he's 26 years old, young man, 26 years old, 87 yards, 18 carries, and somebody that wasn't on my radar, I can tell you that. But they've got several running backs now that are hurt. It's going to be a story, and even Bowles said that they may have to bring somebody in. Rachaad's a really valuable member of this team. Like, he's so good in the pass game, you forget how good he is as a receiver. I like Tucker a lot, and this is his opportunity now maybe to get more reps and prove what he can do. But I'm not willing to say they're better off if Rachaad is out. That could be a significant injury, and I think it's one that could last until the start of the regular season.
Well, and if it lasts till the start of the regular season, you're okay. If it lingers into the regular season,
yeah,
that's
you have
issues.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you've got in Rachaad, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, they may have wanted him to get some work in, but
right,
it's not like he's a rookie or whatever. I mean, he was your starting running back the last few years until the second half of last season.
He's in great shape and all that. He's having a good camp. So, but yeah, if you get him back for week 1, you're okay. But I think they're getting low in numbers. You're going to have to bring some guys in. Maybe. We'll see. So there were some pretty outstanding performances, and most of these took place kind of in the second half. And I thought it started really on defense. This guy, this Nick Jackson kid, who was not on my radar, he's on the Bucs though. Okay, undrafted free agent, right? Went to Iowa and before that Virginia. He had 6 tackles. He played mostly the second half. He had 6 tackles to lead the team, 2 tackles for a loss. He had a sack and an interception and a quarterback hit. And the interception was a result of a deflected pass by another linebacker that they really like, which is Nebraska's John Bullock. And he had 2 tackles and 2 passes defense, including the tip pass that resulted in the interception. Boy, those guys kind of came out of nothing. If you think about their linebacker core, Levante David, obviously, the ageless one, 35 years old is that he's going to be, I think, when the season starts. So you have, you have the GOAT there, and then you got Servassier Dennis, who started the game, another guy that they wanted to see play because he only played 4 weeks last season. They wanted to test that shoulder out. They wanted him, according to Todd Bowles, to have the helmet communicator and have to call and run the defense without Levante on the field, because that could be, that certainly could happen during the course of a season. So I wanted to see how good he was at that. But the other thing they did in the offseason was, they re-signed Deion Jones, who was a former All-Pro linebacker from the Falcons. And then they got Anthony Walker Jr. Now, Anthony Walker Jr. has been hurt. He's had a lower leg injury. Bowles says he's close to returning. But if you just did the numbers, like, okay, how many inside linebackers are you going to keep? You got Levante and Servassier, right? I think the veterans are on the team. I think Deion Jones and Anthony Walker Jr. are here. So that's 4. So I think that there's going to be room for one more, and then, according to Bowles, maybe one practice squad guy. And right now, just watching them play, I would say Bullock has a good shot at the practice squad, and I think Nick Jackson is going to make this team. I really do. He's just instinctive. Game's not too big for him. He's a prototypical size that they like, and a stout guy, good tackler, but can drop in coverage, obviously, rush the passer. I mean, he does a lot of things well. And Bowles just said, that almost since he showed up, he's been this guy that, that sort of has a knack for being in the right place at the right time, which is what football is. Do you make plays? He says he's been a football player from the time he came here. He was somebody we wanted to see, we wanted to watch, and we were paying close attention to him. He just knows the game. He just knows how to play the game. He's very instinctive. He can read things. He's physical when he needs to be physical, and he knows how to cover, right? All right. That's exactly what you want. I mean, that is the job description. So I think they're pretty happy with him. Thought that Shiloh Sanders played well. We talked a lot about his brother Shador, who was set up to fail with the Browns. What a joke that was. But Shiloh came in and didn't play long, right? Had a hit on the quarterback, Brandon Allen. Said he was nervous, probably more nervous than his brother was. But I think he made a couple tackles, and he just said, because I'm not going to lie. He says the first few plays, I was like, sheesh, this is so much different. It's the NFL now. It's not college. The Buccaneers, the NFL. I was in shock at first. I feel like it was similar to Shador. When he started getting his feet wet, he got a little bit more comfortable. That's how I felt. And then he just fly around and make plays. So Bowles thought that Shiloh played really tough and that he did a good job. Obviously, pressure on the quarterback and stuff like that. So good opener, good debut for Shiloh, who I think has a chance to make this team. Have to do it on special teams. And then a guy named Roman Parati, right? Somebody that I swear to you I've paid no attention to in this camp. There's 90 players out there after all. Undrafted free agent from Ohio. He had a dream game for him. Intercepted a pass from Tim Boyle and returned it 39 yards for a touchdown. It was reviewed, but they let it stick. The Bucs looking for guys with ball skills. They only had 7 interceptions last year. That was the 5th fewest in the league. Roman Parodi is another guy who has aspirations to make the 53, and at minimum might be a guy that they carry on the practice squad as well. So it's always fun to see the young guys show up and show out, man. That's what preseason football is about. The rest of it I could do without. Like, it's, most of these, or an awful lot of these players, there's only, we got a 90-man roster and you can only keep 53, right? So most of these guys will not be here in another couple of weeks, but there are some that showed up and played pretty well. And then I guess we have to mention your Tampa Bay Rays.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I think we should. Because I think we're seeing, in my opinion, the residual of what was a bad idea that is now proven to be catastrophic for them. And that is this notion that you can try to avoid rainouts and delays by front-loading the schedule with home games and back-loading it with road games. And all that did was lead to 19 out of 22 stretch on the road with 3 games at home against the Dodgers, and it's killed this baseball team. I think it's killed them. It's too much. This is a West Coast trip. They're in Seattle, then they're going to go to Sacramento to play the A's, and they look out of gas to me. They had games they could win. It wasn't like they were not competitive.
Well, that was the shame of it, is you took 2 of 3 in Anaheim.
Right. And then you lost the first one and won the next 2.
Well, but yeah, and then you go up to Seattle, and you're up 2-0 with home runs from Lau and Caminero.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in the 8th inning with your bullpen.
Yeah.
And you gave up the 3-run home run to Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, who's going to hit about 60.
Yep.
And
you lose that game.
That's heartbreaking.
That should have been a win.
Yeah.
And now you've won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And, even if you lose the 2 in Seattle, like we said, 8-4 is probably what you needed to go on this road trip.
Yeah, you're still off to a 500 start.
But getting swept now you got to go 6-0 the rest of the way to hit that 8-4 mark.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
Now you're playing the Athletics
and
the Giants.
Yeah.
Both teams are not great teams.
Right.
So, you have a chance at that, but, Saturday you got hit up early. Hauser on Sunday got lit up that first inning.
Yeah, he did.
Now, kudos to him to turning it around and eating some innings and keeping it scoreless. And the Rays got within 1 on Sunday.
They did.
It was 4-0. It was 4-1. It was 4-2 and 4. You're like, hey, they got a shot.
Yeah.
And Hauser ate a bunch of innings, didn't kill your bullpen, so that was good.
Mm-hmm.
But getting swept is you just can't have that when you're trying to make a run.
Yeah.
You're now 5.5 out of the wild card.
Yeah, I think it's over, Steve. There's still some time on this road trip, but like you said, you're going to have to, pretty much win out almost on this road trip to make it worth your while. But
the good thing is if you take the winning percentages, the Yankees are the 3rd wild card right now. If you take their winning percentage extrapolated over the season, it's only 85 wins, which the Rays would have to go, I think, 28-15.
Yeah. But think about what you're saying there. 13 games over 500.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's now. Do I think 85 is going to get you in the playoffs? No, because the way Cleveland's playing right behind the Yankees in that, I think it's probably going to take 87, 88.
There's 3 or 4 teams that they'd have to jump over, isn't there?
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you're going to 88, now you got to go 31-12.
Yeah. That ain't going to happen.
The math is just not working in their favor right now.
No. And then the way they're playing too, not scoring a ton of runs.
Lau and Caminero hit 2 home runs each over the weekend.
They were carrying them as they've been all season. If you want to say what's been good about this year, it's Brandon Lau, it's Jose, it's just Junior Caminero,
and Aranda, who's hurt.
Aranda, of course, has been hurt, and that killed them. By the way, that hurt them as much as anything that's going on here. Losing him, absolute all-star stud in the middle lineup, prevents people from pitching around those other 2 guys. To lose him, it was devastating, especially the way it happened with Caminero making a wide throw and then him reaching out and getting his wrist bent back and suffering that fracture. But it just, Seattle was really good too. They're playing well and they got a good team. Really good team. And when you got a guy having an MVP year like that, man, he just carries you. He just carries you for weeks and weeks. And he makes guys so much better. Rosarena's benefited from hitting, in front of him. And really up and down that lineup, they're pretty good. And they pitch well. So not good to be swept by anybody, but,
And then they got news on Shane McClanahan Friday.
Yeah, it wasn't good though, right?
Yeah, the nerve's still not right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's bad.
But they don't know.
That's the worst part right there, is that they don't know. That's the thing that has to be the most frustrating for him. It's not like, hey, I've done everything I can do. How many specialists can I see? How much rehab can I do? Exercises, whatever is required of him. But it's just not getting remarkably better. And is somebody going to come up with a magic, bullet here and a rehab program or medicine or something? I don't know. It's going to require surgery eventually. That's one word they haven't talked about, but the whole season is just about lost. It's just about lost. I can remember when they were saying, I think Shane will be back sometime in May, Well, now we're, well into August, and before you know it, they'll be in the final month of the season. So it just doesn't look like it's going to happen for him, which is a shame. Getting back to the Rays is that, and we were talking about this before the podcast. I don't know whose idea it was, and I think somebody should ask that question if they haven't already. Maybe I missed it. But this notion that they came up with in Major League Baseball, and it might have been based on finances because they weren't playing at the Trop and they only had 10,000 seats, and you want to maximize your home games, try to get as many sellouts as you can. And they've announced a lot of sellouts, whether they were real or not. And because of that, and because of the weather, they front loaded the schedule with a ton of home games, which means they backloaded it like now with just a unrealistic ton of road games. I mean, to think that you're going to play 19 of 22 on the road, right, in late July and August, and the 3 games you have at home, which is just long enough to change your laundry, is against, a team like the LA Dodgers. Brother, you ain't gonna make a living doing that, much less gain ground on people. Like that's brutally unfair. And here's the irony. Yeah, has it rained? Oh, it's rained like hell at my house, and I'm sure all of Tampa. But at the end of the day, you just got to let these guys play. If they get rained out, they play a doubleheader. If it's 2.5 hour delay, it's a 2.5 hour delay. They're not the first team to play outdoors in Florida in the summer. They're not. You know what they are? They're the first team that Major League Baseball said, yeah, you know what? We play all your road games later in the year. That way teams don't have to come in there and wait and sit around for the rainouts or for the rain delays. And that'll help your crowd, and you can't sell that many tickets anyway. We don't want people they won't even come to the games. It's too hot. It's too this. It's too that. They may have thought they were doing them a favor, and maybe to your point, the Rays requested it. I don't know. But whoever's responsible for that decision, that was the wrong decision, in my opinion. And it's easy to second guess, but I'm not second guessing it because I said when they had to go 19 out of 22 on the road, that will absolutely crush this baseball team. And I think it will. It's just they're tired, man. You can't play that many games on the road, in a short period of time and have nothing at home for an entire month. I think they'd have been better off just riding it out. Fans, no fans, 4-hour days, double headers, whatever that would have been. Because the other thing is they didn't take advantage of the front end of the schedule being at home because guess what? It wasn't their home. They were getting adapted to the ballpark. How did the wind play? What are the, sight lines? Like, this really didn't feel like our ballpark. We feel like we're on the road every week.
The ball didn't carry the same.
Ball didn't carry the same. They lost it in the lights. Like there was a lot of stuff going on, man. It's a lot to adjust to there. We got to drive across the bridge. Like whatever that was, they didn't handle it as well because there was an adjustment period, which is reasonable that there would be some adjustment. And, so they didn't take advantage on the front end, and now the back end is kicking their butts. And who else has Major League Baseball tried to do this for or said that you needed to do this? I'd like to know whether it was the Rays that requested it or baseball just said, yeah, you're going to have to do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, they haven't done this before because they haven't had a situation where
right.
I mean, they've had games where
stadium.
But didn't the Astros play a couple games at Tropicana Field during a hurricane? And
the Toronto Blue Jays during COVID were in Dunedin, and then they were in Buffalo, and
that's the closest one to it, actually. I mean, and that may be even harder because you played in 2 different stadiums,
3 ballparks in 1 year that year.
Yeah,
home ballparks,
and not only that, but they had no home. I mean,
they had no home.
At least. Here, you're playing at Steinbrenner Fields across the bay, but you could still live in St. Pete.
Right.
These players lived in Toronto while they weren't playing there. They were playing in Dunedin and in Buffalo.
That was probably that was probably the worst season anybody ever had. This might be better than that, but it's not good. Whatever it is, it didn't help them. Whatever it is, I think it hurt them. And I'd like to know. I really would like to know. Was this a consensus? This opinion? Was this driven by revenue and the Rays saying, but if we get all these rainouts, then we won't even get 10,000 people to go? Was it's going to be too hot. We can't play in the summer. Like, whose idea was this? Whose idea was this? Because it was a horrible idea. I would rather sit at a ballpark for 2.5 hours and not have to play 19 out of 20. At least I'm sleeping in my own bed, winning if I get home. Like it's just not. No, who does this? In baseball. And yeah, it should have realistically or reasonably thought that you'd have a huge advantage early on. They didn't take advantage of that, and now here they are. So I think this season's circling the drain. I don't mean to come off as Debbie Downer and, spring loaded for negativity like Tom Jones and all of that, but that's the way it feels like to me. Somebody asked Kevin Cash about moral victories or something like that. He lost it. I didn't hear the replay, but I was just reading the quotes. It was kind of funny. It's like, no, you got to win some damn games, That's why you play. Hello, you play to win the game. Hello. Don't forget the hello. And it's a shame because they have some good pieces. They haven't put it together they had that great stretch, the hottest team in baseball, I think, from like May 20th to for about a month or so. No one hotter, and now it's kind of turned on them. But we'll see. Maybe there's still hope that they pick it up against the A's in Sacramento, and they go down and beat the Giants a little bit and come home with a respectable record. But you're right; they're going to have to not just win series, but maybe put some strings together here to try to crawl out of this. I don't know. Feels like we're almost there. Like we're almost ready to just say, okay, wait till next year because this isn't going to happen for them. All right, so I'll be back at practice. That's right. We got practice this morning at One Buck Place as the Bucs prepare to go to Pittsburgh. They'll do that, by the way, leaving for Pittsburgh on Tuesday night. They're going to have a practice on their own on Wednesday at a high school up in the greater Pittsburgh area, I believe, or a college, and then they're going to practice against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday. I think that's going to be at the Steelers' home ballpark. If I'm not mistaken, I will be there. I will be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where it's probably as hot as it is here. But yeah, be up there through the game on Saturday night, back on Sunday. So chance to see Aaron Rodgers, practice a little bit. Got to do that when he joined the Jets. The Bucs happened to be the first team to do a joint practice with the Jets when Rodgers was quarterbacking that team. Mike Tomlin, all those guys, will be kind of cool to hang out with them and see what's going on up there. And then preseason game 2, will be Saturday night in Pittsburgh, and we'll see what the quarterback rotation is. As I mentioned, Bowles said that he thought that there was a chance, depending on how much he learns the offense, that Teddy Bridgewater will play. Don't know how much, but they'd like to get him in the game. And certainly the third preseason game, he said he most definitely will play and probably play a lot. So give him some time to catch up. Make sure you get on down to Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Check out all the beautiful watches they have. Men's watches, the Navitimers, the Chronomats, ladies' watches. These are sports watches, extremely beautiful, very durable. And the NFL's 104th year anniversary team watches while supplies last. It's Breitling Boutique International Plaza Mall. Make sure you let them know that you heard about it right here on Sports Day Tampa Bay. For Steve Versnick, I am Rick Stroud, Tampa Bay Times. Have a great day, everybody.